because this is the things that I'm going to talk about is the characteristics of the Cultural Revolution. But in your textbook, there is no page talking about the characteristics of the Cultural Revolution. It is mainly talking about the process, the development of the Cultural Revolution. That is why you couldn't find the pages talking about exactly the same things that I am going to talk about with my handout. So that is why we are actually talking about several pages of the textbook at the same time. And so I mainly use the PowerPoint. Okay. Uh, and in the whole Cultural Revolution, you can see uh, several characteristics from the whole Cultural Revolution. That means what they would do every day. I mean, what the people would do every day, or what uh, the the public or how the public would think about China at that time. That means their values or their value judgments. Okay, so generally we are talking about the mindset and behavior of the Chinese people during the Cultural Revolution, and after that we can try to figure out uh, what the Cultural Revolution is, or what is the nature of the Cultural Revolution. Okay, so first of all, as we as I told you, the Cultural Revolution is actually a political movement or a social movement motivated by some political factors. Okay, that is the political factor that led to the Cultural Revolution. Of course, if you look into the Cultural Revolution, most of the impact caused by it would be in the social aspect. That means it is mainly a social movement. However, the factors behind, or the factors behind is political. Okay, so why is it or how could the political factor lead to the Cultural Revolution? So first of all, as I told you last time, that Mao Zedong lost his power after the Great Leap Forward, and then Liu Shaoqi, Deng Xiaoping, these people took up his position, and that is why Mao Zedong want to fight back, want to take back the power, want to take the revenge. And as I told you, before the Great Leap Forward, Liu Shaoqi, Deng Xiaoping, Peng Dehuai, these people, all of them agree with Mao, supported the Great Leap Forward, supported the three red banners. However, when they faced the decline of economies, when they faced the difficulty caused by the Great Leap Forward, they chose to blame Mao Zedong, and that is why that caused the anger of Mao Zedong, and that is why he want to take back the power. And one more thing, as I told you, in China, how could you make sure that whether or not you are the true leader at that time, or even at this moment, you need to make sure that you can control the army. Okay, and which position is going to c- control the army? That is yes, very good, the leader of the CCP, the leader of the CCP. So Mao Zedong at that time, although Mao Zedong gave up the position of the leader of the country, however, he didn't give up on the position of the as a leader of the CCP. Okay, so that is a very special situation in the history of the CCP, because after the death of Mao Zedong, you can't see there is a leader of the CCP while there is another leader for the country. You can't see that after the death of Mao Zedong. Normally they are the same person, but when Mao Zedong was still alive, that is possible. Okay, because he understand that the power in the party would be the most important thing. If you can control the party, you can control the army. When you can control the army, you can control the country. So at this moment, I give you the power. as the leader of the country, but it doesn't matter because after that I can take back the power by launching other political movement. Okay, so the Cultural Revolution at the beginning, it should be focusing on the political struggle. So first of all, the first characteristics of the Cultural Revolution is that they had some struggle on politicians. So what is the meaning of politicians? The politicians means the experienced members of the CCP, and also they are not only experienced but also having high position. For example, Liu Shaoqi, Peng Dehuai, okay, these people are important in the communist revolution in China, in the history of communist revolution in China. So they are now being criticized by the public, and of course they will be punished, and also they may face a lot of difficulties. For example, they may not have enough food. No doctor could uh, take care of them. No doctor could take care of them. No food. Nobody could talk with them. If you talk with them, that means you are related to them. When you are related to them, that means you should also be punished. Actually, this is similar to the punishment in the ancient Chinese history. That that is a kind of collective punishment. If if you are being punished, your relatives, your family members, your friends should not come to see you. Otherwise, they will be punished as well. Something like that. So uh, this is one of the characteristics of the Cultural Revolution, and I also mentioned this sentence here: bombard the headquarters in my PowerPoint. Bombard the headquarters is the first important incident in the Cultural Revolution. But as I told you, you don't need to remember the details of the revolution. But I still need to tell you about this because it is the beginning, or it marks the beginning of the Cultural Revolution. And the meaning of bombard the headquarters is that some teenagers, or some yes, teenagers or students, okay, they are trying to criticize the headquarters. What is the meaning of headquarters? That means the politicians who got the power ruling China at that time. They are Liu Shaoqi, Deng Xiaoping, and Peng Dehuai. And why would they need to bombard the headquarters? That is because uh, these so-called leaders or headquarters, they are not performing as a communist because they are trying to go back to capitalism. This is what the student or teenagers thought. Of course, this may be an idea of Mao, but anyways, a lot of teenager students going out to the street criticizing these uh, senior or experienced politicians of the CPC, and claiming that they are not true communists. They are bringing China back to capitalism, and that is a problem because they are the Communist Party, right? They are Communist China. We can't accept any element of capitalism in our country. So that is why, um, yes, these people are being criticized and later they are being punished. But now, imagine, guys, if you can see these kind of problems in a country, normally, what would the government do? The government would send policemen to solve the problem, right? To oppress the students normally. But however, at that time, because the army was controlled by Mao Zedong, Mao Zedong did not allow the army to oppress these students. Okay, therefore, even when they are punishing, even when they are punishing the students in the sorry, somebody call 等一等，因為有位老師打俾我，應該有急事，等等。OK，冇事，繼續。 Okay, so even when the public is trying to punish these politicians, nobody could stop them because there are too many people, and at that time only soldiers with weapons could stop them. But at that time, no soldiers attempted to stop them. That is why these red guards, okay, these red guards became more ambitious. That they didn't fear anything. They didn't fear anything. Okay, and at the beginning they tried to criticize the politicians. Later, because nobody stopped them, they tried to have some physical conflict with these politicians. After that, when nobody is going to stop you, you believe that even when you kill this man or even when you attack this man, nobody will stop you. So they are trying to get uh, the punishment more severe. At the beginning, it is just throwing rubbish to the politicians, but later they started to use other tools, other instruments to punish them. For example, they may use a stick to lock you up, and then it may cause you a lot of pain, something like that. Okay, maybe if I can find some video clips about that, I can share it with you. Yes, okay. It is more terrible than putting you into the jail. So one of the characteristics of the Cultural Revolution is that yes, it could have some political instability. So we move on. Next. Uh, we talked about this already. Another characteristics of the Cultural Revolution is that it could lead to a problem that all students of the cities go to the countryside, go to the villages to study. Okay, it was encouraged by Mao Zedong in the late 60s, and they did this in the early 70s. Many students uh, echo with the slogan that uh, it is better to study in the countryside. It is better to bring equalities to the people in the countryside because in the cities, you are supposed to acquire more knowledge. You are supposed to be exposed to more competition. Therefore, uh, it is easier for the students in cities to study. However, if you are living in the villages, you can't study well because you don't have any competitors. The schools are actually for the maybe for the primary level. Okay, they are not for good students. They are just trying to teach you how to read and how to write, but they are not going to teach you how to uh, think critically or how to uh, contribute to the whole country. However, when you are studying in Tsinghua University, Beijing University, these universities, they are trying to nurture some talents for the whole country. Okay, not just teaching you how to read and write. So, this is a problem because they are trying to drag these talents down to the level of a farmer. Okay, and they are encouraging the teenagers to work but not study. As I have told you last time, there are some slogans like the more you study, the more foolish you will become. I hope you still remember. Okay. Something like this. And I also told you that Xi Jinping also joined this movement. He worked in the village. Of course, uh, he may receive other kinds of education in his future, but however, we are not sure about that. But what we are sure is that he really sacrificed his prime time for studying into the work in the villages. Okay, the best timing for the people to study is at their uh, teenage period. And however, the problem is at that time citizen chose to work in the villages. That is why a lot of people would criticize the leader or the leadership nowadays, that they did not receive proper education. That is why they may make wrong decision. But this is the perspective of some people. Again, we are not sure whether or not these people receive better education after the Cultural Revolution. Anyways, so down to the countryside movement. Number three, the third characteristics of the Cultural Revolution is that it is a mass movement. Okay, a mass movement again. So, as we have discussed, that after the setup of the PRC, the CCP or the PRC was good at doing one thing. That is to launch mass movement. Okay, they are good at launching mass move. Sorry, good at launching mass movement. From the land reform to the 3 NTs and 5 NTs, from the Great Leap Forward to the Cultural Revolution. Whenever Mao Zedong is in charge, whenever Mao Zedong is in charge, the CCP or the PRC was good at launching mass movement. That means actually Mao Zedong was good at launching mass movement. But however, when Liu Shaoqi, Deng Xiaoping, these people, these leaders were in charge, the PRC didn't launch any mass movement. Okay. Yes. So the Cultural Revolution is also a mass movement that a lot of people would take part in it, and it was launched by the public, but not the politicians, or but not the political leaders. Okay, they are all led by the public, but of course, the politicians would play a role. For example, as I have told you, nobody stopped the Red Guard. Nobody stopped the Red Guard. No army stopped the Red Guard. No soldiers stopped the Red Guard. That is the role of the government in the Cultural Revolution. However, the whole movement was launched and led by the public themselves. Okay, so this really depends on your perspective. To some people, maybe this is chaos, but to some people, this may also be a sign of democracy, right? It really depends. And that is why this is called a cultural revolution. You may not know why is it called revolution. It is just a chaos. It is just a riot. But actually, I think the cultural revolution can be compared with the French Revolution. But you didn't study the French Revolution. But if you are interested, you can Google this by yourself. In the French Revolution, things happen all the things happened in the French Revolution were similar to the Cultural Revolution. That there was no leader. There may be some soldiers, but the soldiers are weak. Okay, and the public was stronger than the soldiers. The public could even kill the soldiers easily, just like in the Cultural Revolution. Okay, the government could not stop that. Too weak. The government was too weak and couldn't stop them, and the public can even punish people by themselves, executed people by themselves, executed people on the street. That means if they think you are anti-revolution, that means if they think that you did not disagree with, if they think that you disagree with them, they can kill you on the street directly. They don't need to wait for any trial or discussion. They just simply kill you, and nobody could stop them. Okay, something like that. Okay, so the Cultural Revolution, the nature of the Cultural Revolution is that it was launched by the mass and controlled by the mass, and also led by the mass. Yes, led by the mass. Okay, so any other example? For example, they would eat or kill and eat their superior. As I've told you, they don't have a concept called classes, because in a communist world, there should be no class. Okay, therefore you don't have father, you don't have mother, you don't have teachers, you don't have principals. All the people are the same. Therefore, if you find somebody is trying to maintain the old social class system, you can punish them, okay? Or they are anti-revolution. That means nobody could maintain the old social class system. All the people should embrace the new system. That is, all people are the same, okay? So that is why some of them could even kill their superior, maybe teachers, maybe parents, something like that. And they think that only one person is special, that is Mao Zedong, okay? All the others are the same, something like that, okay? We move on. Point number 4, the split of community. As I've told you, the Cultural Revolution is trying to struggle the capitalists, but actually not only capitalists, but also other group of people who may be anti-communism. For example, at that time they try to categorize the people into 2 different groups. One is the red categories, another one is the black categories. So in Chinese, these 2, okay? So the 5 red categories included the people who could represent communism. They are poor peasants, poor farmers, workers, soldiers, something like that. These people are all contributing to the country, and they are all having a very tough life. That is why they should be respected. And at this moment, when you are in the 5 red categories, you will be respected. You can have some privilege, something like that. But what about the opposite? The opposite is the 5 black categories. They are all the people that may be anti-revolution, just like the landlord, the rich peasants. Yes, these people. Okay. Actually, this is similar to the land reform, but they are trying to categorize the people further. Okay, and that is why, as I have said, at that time it is clear, very clear, that China was in political chaos, or they didn't enjoy political stability. So therefore, the economy must be worse compared to the previous period. So this is characteristic number 4, and after I finish this, our lesson will end. Okay. So the last one is that the Cultural Revolution was also anti-tradition. They are trying to overthrow all the things of the past, including Confucius, including history, including the historical artifacts, including the temples. What they would have is the product of the modern times, just like machines, factory, workers, farmers. Okay, all the things that you can see in the Industrial Revolution can exist in the Industrial Revolution. Okay, unless unless what do I want to say? You can see. Sorry, you can see factories, you can see workers, you can see machines, but you can't see temples, you can't see historical artifacts, you can't see anything related to Confucianism or related to the past. That means even when you see some sculptures of Guan Yu, you know Guan Yu, right? They may destroy the sculpture of Guan Yu as well, something like that. Okay, so this is a disaster to a lot of people. To a lot of people, this is a disaster, and but to some of the people, they may think this is a progress. So it really depends on how you look into this revolution. And because we don't have time, I need to end this lesson. Next time we are going to finish the whole Cultural Revolution, and I think we can move on to the open legal policy next time. Any question? Okay, see you next time. Bye bye. Bye bye.